a year long, and actually it's less than that. It's, my report is due in a month or two. And so the money, how I came across creating this is that I was, as a cadre member, I was running around evaluating programs in Central and South America. And this was a WASH program that I was evaluating. WASH, everybody knows what WASH is? No? Okay. So we all know about literacy programs in schools, right? And we all know about teacher training. But what they've found is a lot of kids don't go to school because they're sick, okay? And then that's one thing. And so they need hand washing, and they need clean water in the schools, clean drinking water. And they don't have these. And so the other issue is girls, once they start their menstrual period, they stop going to school because they don't have a bathroom to go to. Many of these schools just have one, not even a bathroom, you know, it's a place where you dump water in, okay? And so that becomes a big problem. Once they stop going to school, then they don't come back. And so then we lose this, you know, whole group. So statistically, in Guatemala, and it might be similar to other Central and South American schools, only 25% of all kids go on to básica, which is like junior high. Okay? And so, and then very, very few of those go on to high school. Okay? So this large grant that I was evaluating was $550,000 grant, 48 schools, putting in bathrooms, putting in clean water, big tanks of water to filter water, and then also all kinds of teacher training, okay, and training for 4th, 5th, and 6th grades, okay, where the girls and boys are around 11 or 12, about menstrual training. And so it was co-ed, and so that's when they learned about menstrual pad, reusable menstrual pads, using them, and the grant gave out free menstrual pads to students. So as we were going around observing the different schools, we came across this high school, and this high school was all about recycling, okay? And so they were making things out of recycled materials. They were all for saving the planet. You know, we all thought, those of us that are Americans, it was like, wow, we should be doing that, you know, here in our own country. So anyway, so I approached them, and their students were learning how to be entrepreneurs, okay, how to run their own businesses. And so they had little presentations, and the boys and girls had made up their own little menstrual pads, and were presenting to us, you know, the reasons for it and so forth. And the boys were as comfortable as the girls in doing this. And I thought, like, wow, I would really love to support this high school, because they're not asking for anything, but they're doing so much, and they just need some extra help to bring it to a level where the kids and the families could become self-sufficient. So that was the whole idea behind it. So it was this one high school, and it's near, fortunately it's near,
come join us.
fortunately it's near Antigua, which is a tourist town. Okay, so that is a place where students can sell a lot of their products. Okay, so they named their company Ecomaya. Okay? And I have a little flyer I can send this around you guys to take a look at. So 14 students, a couple of the teachers here. And so the two things that they started making were reusable menstrual pads and something that they called Ecomaya soap. So because they live near a volcano, they thought, you know, what some of the latest things, some of them, they don't have access online on their phones. A lot of them, they have phones because they're very cheap, but they just have phone service, you know, and some pictures. So, but a couple of them work at these internet cafes, so they have access, and they see that, there's soap that's very popular now, charcoal soap, and and we even found some with some volcanic ash. And I said, okay, you guys need to go up the mountain and get some volcanic ash. That would be very cool to sell, this product that is made out of glycerin, all very natural ingredients. So anyway, so here it is. So I found these molds in the shape of a volcano.
Yeah.
And so
show them in the video, please. Thank you.
yeah, and they're here. Okay.
Look.
So you can take a picture of that too if you want. So anyway, and then they decided, oh, well, let's put them in these cute little bags. And this bag is made out of native fabric there. And then they, with part of the grant, we bought a couple of sewing machines because we were going to make menstrual pads as well. Okay? So anyway, show that around. So these are the first two products, and now we're branched out, and now we're making candles and table napkins as well.
Candles and the
Candles, yeah,
Oh.
and candles and table napkins, yeah. So these are all products that they are selling. Okay, so when we came there, Philippe came along. He said, "Oh, that sounds like a good idea. I'll go down and I'll teach some STEM training because I'm sure they could use that." And so we did. So they had a opening lunch for us, and all very good. And so then, so Philippe, this is in October. This time we went down. So Philippe brought a lot of his gadgets, and he taught basic electricity.
Yeah.
And they just loved it. They worked in pairs. The girl on the right here, Reina, she is the president of the group. They call themselves Ecomaya, okay? And they call the soap Ecomaya because they're all from Mayan ancestry, and so eco meaning clean and good for the environment. But yeah, they all have beautiful smiles and so enthusiastic. This is Brandon. Yeah, so these kids are range in age from like 16 to 20, and they're all in their senior year of high school. Okay, so here's girl power here, the girls. Yeah, so they are all riled up. It's like, so first, it was interesting, first the menstrual pads, I was thinking of having a,
¿Le puedes decir a Benjamin que entre el Zoom del que está adentro? A Benjamin que entre el Zoom que está en el group. En su WhatsApp, ajá. En el Zoom que está en el WhatsApp, a Benjamin, por favor. Él está pidiendo entrar.
okay, so my first
Thank you.
My first idea was to just have the girls work on making the menstrual pads, not just for themselves, but for their families, and then also to sell in the market. But the boys at the school, in the class, said, "No, we want to be part of this. We have mothers, we have sisters, they need these products. We have girlfriends, and so yeah, we want to be part of this." So they're very comfortable in their making the products as well. So here they are designing their own menstrual pads. First, we tried to be part of Days for Girls, which is an international organization that makes these reusable menstrual pads. And why reusable? Why reusable in a third world country?
Money.
Eco and also money. Yeah, the paper products there
Oh, right.
are very expensive to buy. Yeah, and these can be washed. Okay. Well, so anyway, they said, well, we can design our own. So, they're designing their own. And actually, we had an interview with Days for Girls to become a Days for Girls enterprise. But Lillian, who was the project manager that I hired there, who worked for the previous WASH program, she knew more than they did. So it's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, one of the boys' mothers is a seamstress by trade, and so we paid her a bit to make the menstrual pads in her house, because part of what we wanted to do is involve the community, okay, not just at the school. Okay, so there's Lillian on the left, and then the woman next to her is a seamstress, and her sister on the right. So it was very interesting to go into these homes and to talk about, what was your life like, okay? None of the parents have gone beyond the third grade, okay? So I live in Encinitas. Around the corner from my house is the Best Western. What's in front of the Best Western? Day workers, okay? So I bring them over food, and I go over and I talk to them. 95% of them are from Guatemala, okay? And why are they here? What kind of education do they have? They have less than like a third grade education. So there's nothing they can do but work in the fields and repeat the same kind of life that their parents had, okay? So how do you break out of poverty? You have to break out of poverty. education, but also it also takes money. So part of what the grant is, I'm giving them internships, okay, for making the products and selling the products. But that's going to run out in a couple of months. So by that time, they should have learned enough so that they can now become self-sufficient. So that's the whole idea. They don't have any parents to give them money, you know? And there's a choice of like going to school or stopping school and working, you know? And many of these kids, they work already. You know, they're working in their, they're working in little food shops, or they're working for their parents. But, so these women, very interesting. The one on the right, she's only 36, you know, she's got a whole bunch of kids already.
She's 36.
Yeah, yeah. And she was working in one of these factories where she was doing repetitive motion. You know, there's a lot of factories that make food and clothes and stuff. And what happens with repetitive motion, a lot of times you get carpal tunnel and stuff. So she had to leave work. Well, what happens when you leave work, there's no workman's comp. You're just out of job, you know? You have to find something else that you can do. So these people live on very, very little. Very, very little to get by. Okay, so here we are making the soap. Okay, so the guys and girls, they figured out, you know, how to make it. And this is all done at the school. They have a little oven going on there, stove top.
Ecomaya.
Yeah. Okay, and here it is in production. Restart your computer to finish installing. Okay, what's that message?
It was postponed.
Postponed. Okay. How do I? There you go. I don't. Which key do I hit? Postpone.
That one here?
This one here?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. All right. Okay. And so in the room that they have at the school, they have signs up that talk about values. You know, what's our business? What's our mission? Okay. What are our values? Being a business and all of that. Okay. So this is the day that they went up to get some volcanic ash from the volcano. And so Lillian's on the right. She's my project manager that's there. Next to her is Lauren, who's a Peace Corps volunteer, a local Peace Corps volunteer. So luckily I found a Peace Corps volunteer that, you know, she can help on the ground, and then 3 other students. So what Lauren told me afterwards, she said, did you realize that these kids were really afraid to go up an active volcano? And you know, I didn't think anything of it because Americans go down there. In Antigua, they have all of these travel offices. Like, oh yeah, you can go up the volcano for the day, and you know, you pay big money to go and do that. And this is what we do as Americans, right? We take risks. You know, we're jumping off buildings and things. And so anyway, it's like, no, for them it's very scary because it's very real. Yeah. So they've had whole communities wiped out because of volcanoes. But they did it. Okay. So they cloth bags. They even wanted to make the ties made out of jute, you know, which is very eco-friendly. Okay. So the second time I went in December, I felt like, okay, I need to go and visit these homes. You know, I only visited the home of the seamstress. I get to need to know where these kids live and their parents and so forth. So here's Byron. Okay, Byron lives by himself. Okay, his real home is 12, 13 hours away by bus. Okay, he lives in the mountains. There was a school, American school, or no, I'm sorry, a church, American church. They kind of discovered him in a little community. It's a Mayan community, and so this. So he got to go to the school, but he also has 2 jobs. He's a mason, works like 3 hours a day, and then he goes and works at an internet session for another 3 hours a day. Then he goes to school, and I don't know when he sleeps. So anyway, this is a picture he took of his family because he had not been home in 3.5 years. And you know, this is before Christmas, and I was saying to him, it's like, well, Byron, are you going to see, you know, your parents at Christmas? He's like, oh, no, I can't. You know, it's too far away, it's too expensive. Well, how much is it? You know, it was like $40 round trip. I will give you the $40. You need to go home and see your brothers and sisters. He hadn't seen them in 3.5 years. And yeah, so he's a new baby. And
Is that him at your side? Okay.
No, these are his 2 brothers.
Oh, 2 brothers.
Yeah, this is him on the left here.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, he knows about the opportunity that he
Okay,
has.
so then he's out all the way, they live really way far.
Oh, very far, very
And yet
well.
you see a Nike Air, doesn't it just kill you?
Oh, yeah, yeah, and polo, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is, we recycle all of our used t-shirts.
Oh, that's true.
In third world countries, in Africa and everything. Yeah, they're not buying this stuff new. This is stuff that's left over from some missionary or some Americans that have done that. Just give those things away. Okay, so this is where he lives in, near the school, okay? A lot of places look like this. Then, you know, I'm sure you see it in Tijuana too, you know, so it's a lot of the metal, tin kind of thing, wood, springs, anything, you know, that you can have as a barrier. And so then he rents a room, but I don't even know if you can call it a room. But if you look to the right, that's his room where his little bed is.
Like closet thing?
It's like a closet, yeah, a bed fits in there, and that's it. And you can see his clothes piled up outside. And then on the left is, whoops, sorry. Is that it? Last view, okay. Yeah, on the left-hand side, you see all the mountains around there. But, yeah, I mean, it's basically a junkyard, you know, the house in the yard. But it's a place that he has, and I think they beat him, you know, and so he lives very, very minimally.
So who's supporting him to pay for that church you talked about?
Yeah, yeah, but he still has 2 jobs too.
Oh, but he has to keep that.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
In this place is near the volcán.
yes. Yeah, there's volcanoes all around. Yeah. Okay, this is Claudia. Okay, Claudia is a lovely gal, part of the group. And so we meet her outside her house, and we go in. There's the path going down her house. And on the right-hand side, it's her sisters and one of her nieces. And her parents are not there. I said, well, where are your parents? Well, her father was ill. I don't think not necessarily from a job, but just, you know, something that heart or something, kidneys, and he had to go to emergency in Guatemala City, which not that far away, but for them it's far away. And so the mother had to go with him. So, and so since then he's off work. He's going to be off work, and he needs constant care. The mother has to take care of him. So, you know, here is a couple of sisters, and so they'll try to get some work, you know, working at a you know, a food place or something, a little cafe. And Claudia is continuing in school. You know, she's a senior. So this is part of the house. Where, well, I guess you'd call it the bathroom. Okay. So they get their water from tanks like this, and the floor is dirt floor all over the house. Okay. And the roof is leaking. And yeah, so I went into the toilet area, is kind of off to the right. I went in there, and it was, you know, about this deep in water. I didn't know if it was what kind of water it was, but anyway, it's like, that's kind of how it is. This is the situation that they live in, and so, yeah. And so mostly they cook outside, you know. Anything that's indoors, closed indoors, is usually beds. Okay, this is Gregorio. Okay, Gregorio probably has the nicest house. And that's because not only his parents were out working, but his grandparents were there, okay? So it's an extended family. And his aunts and uncles, they live in this, they even have a living room here, right? This is the first place we went to that had a living room. So everybody is kind of contributing and helping one another in this large extended family. Okay, and it's Christmas time, and seeing Christmas decorations around. They grow lots of produce here.
This is
It's
good.
very good, yeah. I mean, Guatemala, you can grow anything. Yeah, yeah. It's not like, you know, you hear of some countries in Africa where there's so much disease, or it's so dry. It's like, oh my God, you know, I mean, they're godforsaken, but you know, fortunately, there's not that much disease that's around, and until we bring our COVID-19 down there, you know. And, but no, there's lots of but most of these, of course, they're going to be shipped out to us, and they will probably just be eating beans and rice because this is what happens, you know, third world countries. They ship out all the good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of produce that comes from Guatemala, if you look at it.
Yeah, and flowers. This is Oscar. We went into his house. It has beds. Okay, that's the inside of the house, and you know, pretty nicely made beds. He lives with his grandmother. Parents are I don't know if they're going through a divorce or you know a lot of drinks, and so there's always lots of those kind of problems. There's you know because when you're poor and there's nothing, so when you get a little, what the men usually do, the men usually then use it for drinking. They drink the money or gambling the money away. Yeah, one of the fathers we found out gambled the house away. Yeah, I mean they don't have much of a house, but you know he got I guess the bank owned a note or something, and that got gambled away. But anyway, so he works. He lives with his grandmother, and actually that's probably a good thing, you know. So he has a job, and so yeah. So when he's not in school, he's working, and yeah. Okay, so here's the student president and the local project manager, and these are the little walkways, you know, between when they're not like big streets, the little walkways, and you walk down in between houses. Okay, and this is Raina, the president of the club, and this is her mother and granddaughter. And her mother also was injured at work and can't work anymore. And she's got a couple of older sisters that kind of help out, and a younger brother. Oh, am I in? Oh, okay. So now the latest project that they have is these candles, and I'm getting them to make candles that are in, you know, the Gallo beer cans. Okay, so Gallo beer cans, empty. Fill it up with a candle that tourists can buy and take back with them. So anyway, so they're developing this, and they're also developing table napkins, you know, made out of Guatemala cloth that we've seen and we bought there before, and and it's great because actually it's much better for us to have cloth napkins than it is to have paper napkins to go on. Yeah. So of all these kids, like I say, none of their parents have gone beyond the third grade. So now they're seniors in high school, so they have come a long way. There's a lot of pressure on them to quit school totally and go to work, you know, to help. But the parents have seen them come this far, and they want them to continue. And so, you know, we've been giving them we've been giving them, you know, like an internship.
Stipends?
Yeah, but it depends on how much work they do every month. Some get more than others. Yeah. So we're basing it now on productivity. You know, making the stuff, marketing it, selling it, being part of it. They have to work together as a team. Yeah. So they're learning a lot. And you know, I would never be able to do this unless I had a really good manager on the ground. And I couldn't have just pulled this out of the hat, but I had been there before with this WASH program, and the gal that was doing all of the educational stuff there, you know, she's the one I hired. So anyway, it's not an easy thing to handle. I'm probably on the phone, you know, 1 hour or 2 hours a day with Lillian. Got a lot of help from Philippe. He's been down more than once and helped out. You want to speak a little bit about what you've done?
When you're finished? Yeah, just a little. Now? Well, no, I just joined. I was curious about what was happening because I worked in Mexico in many rural areas, and I wanted to see how Guatemala was different, you know. But it's been a very pleasant surprise to see this group of kids, very enthusiastic and well-meaning and willing to do things. My concern was how much of that was going to fizzle after we left. You know, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like you give them the fish or you give them the fishing devices, you know. So it's helping motivate them, but my concern is that they're prepared for the long term, you know. I went by myself for a week and talked to the principal a lot about, you know, how they test those kids, how the kids apply for university, what happens after us, you know. And it's interesting, but it's very similar to what happens even here in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids that need to be proficient, they need to move on, and we give them a chance. Sometimes they don't appreciate it, or they don't understand what you mean by going to the university. Things that we know it's going to work, but they don't see it. So that's one of the reasons why I brought all this electrical stuff, to show them that there's more beyond, maybe the candles and all that. That's nice, and it will probably make a good industry and a good practice exercise for entrepreneurship, But are they prepared and ready to get into something else? The solar, the ecosystems, the generation from the creeks, the rivers, the water generators, all those little things that we take it for granted that they know about it. They don't, and they were extremely interested. At this time, I'm struggling because I saw the results. They have a test, like they do here, the state testing, where they get scores and they evaluate every school in the country. And the results in this school were dismal. Like they had almost like a 0% of pass in math, and writing it was like 12%, or very bad scores. So I thought about it, and I said, well, I used to do that for San Diego State, so I am now thinking about proposing something from somebody to support that, because I can go there and spend 2 months on my own, but it's just me. If it's
Doing teacher training.
teacher training, yeah. So I got a teacher right now that is working with me, and I'm paying for her salary. I'm taking care of that, so she prepares him for the math testing. But she's not doing that good. I mean, I get the advice that it's not, because it's hard. It's hard here, it's hard anywhere. But even there, it's even harder. But the results, all the what we can get out there is awesome. So in the future, I might ask for help and see how maybe we can write another proposal for a grant. It will be another time, but something to help them better, for a better future in general. It's not that hard, because we know it can be done. And we got plenty of experience on that. I mean, I'm saying personally, with my kids, I feel guilty seeing my kids because I spend so much time with them, and they're doing excellent. I would say, I'm not bragging, but I'm fine. And then looking at those kids, and they have no future. I mean, really. And right now it's nice. They're getting the stipend, and they're excited. And so if there's a way to connect and get them to move into something more promising, So we're working hard, and I hope we can do something more.
And it's very interesting because the grant that I was evaluating, $550,000 grant, 48 schools, and they are struggling because they've really only done about half of what they proposed, And so I saw that, and I said, okay, well, I'm just going to take a small chunk. One school, not even the whole school, 14 students. And that is even hard, It's just, when you're in the business of trying to lift people out of poverty, it's hard. There's just so many things that can pull you down. For instance, girls getting pregnant, boys getting girls pregnant. And so all of a sudden I started thinking about how old they were. And so I talked to Lauren, the local Peace Corps volunteer there, and I said, can you get a healthcare worker to come and talk to these kids, to talk about contraceptives, because nobody talks about it, They're not talking about it in school, and even in their mothers, and nobody talks about it. So yeah, so she got a really good one that came in, and had demonstrations, and there's free contraceptives out there, but they didn't know about it, So it's like, they better know about it, because they're at the age, it's like, oh my gosh, one of the girls who's actually one of the brightest, Victoria, when I was there, the girls say, oh, there she is riding around with her 40-year-old boyfriend who's married, and going like, oh, because he has a car, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, I mean, it's just, and another girl, while I was there, she got drunk and went off with another, they're just ripe for being, picked and abused.
Does religion play into any of it? Are you battling, like, the church that's against contraceptive, or?
That hasn't been a problem.
No.
The kids, I don't even think they've gone home and told their parents what they heard in school. But
That's a good question, because in those places, the church is very impressive.
Oh, it is. And maybe it's drilled into them when you're little and stuff. But most of the people are, they're pretty ignorant. They don't even know about that this stuff
It's
exists.
It's drilled in. Not, you can't have it. You have to have the child, but don't drilled in. Don't do it.
Yeah, Right, 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 right.